Alright, welcome back to the next Gren Twigs video. In the last one, I said that we might be wrapping up the Pomodoro timer series. I decided to do one more because I want to be able to enter the amount of minutes that are counting down on my timer. To do that, I'm going to need two different states of my application. There's one state where I have an amount of time remaining and I'm counting down, and then another state where I don't, and I need to ask the user for an amount of time. So to support that, I'm going to change my remaining field from holding milliseconds to holding maybe milliseconds. And I will say that when I initialize, I'm not going to hard code to 10 anymore. I'm just going to have nothing. So I'm going to have to change a few things to make this work. The nice thing is the compiler is running and it will continually tell me where I've missed places that I forgot to update. So, but I'm going to get started by what I know I'm going to have to change. So if I don't have an amount of time remaining, I'm going to have to ask for it. If you want text input in a Gren TUI app, the best way to do it is with this text field component. I'm just going to import it as text field. It's a standalone component because think about in HTML a text input. That's actually a whole self-contained UI component. You know, it handles backspace, it handles forward and back arrow keys, things like that. On the command line, you've got to deal with that too. You could do all that manually, but normally if you're entering text just in bash or something, you're probably using readline, which handles that. But in a Gren TUI app, all the input is character by character. You know, when you hit ABC, you don't receive a string ABC. You get a input message for A, an input message for B, etc. So this text field component handles interpreting that stuff as text input, and it handles the backspace and moving the arrow keys so that you have a cursor that highlights the character you're typing and all of that. Anyway, to use that, you import it, and you have to track that on your model. So I'm going to add a, I'll call it remaining field. And that will be initialized to probably just this. I can initialize it to 10. So when you first see it, it'll be pre-populated with 10 minutes. You can change that. I'll initialize it to empty string. I don't need to make assumptions about how long your Pomodoro sessions are. Remaining field. You're just going to want to call init with whatever you want in the text field to start with. We'll start with an empty string. All right, now the other thing you need to do with text fields is keep them updated with whatever input you're receiving. So I need to change my got input handler here because there's going to be two different ways to handle input. If I'm typing in text, I want input to run through my text field. If I'm not typing in text, I want it to act like I'm using the menu. So I'm going to do a top level match here and say when the remaining value is just remaining, so I have a remaining number of milliseconds, then I do what I was doing before. I treat input as you're working with the menu. I probably will have to update some other stuff, but when it's nothing, that means I should be entering some text. So I have to handle this a little bit differently. We're going to say when input is when it's the return key, I actually am going to want to deal with my input that was typed. I'll get to that in a second. When it's everything else, that's when I'm going to want to run it through the text field. Input handler. So my model will be my old model with the remaining field updated with the result of calling text field to update with that input. And the current state of that field. Command is nothing. Okay. Now when I press return, I want to get the value in that text field. And I want that value to go to my remaining field on my model. I am constantly typing backslash instead of return. So remaining will be the text field to string. And then I'm going to want that to be an integer so I can do some math on it. Is string to int what I want, or is int from string what I want? I don't know. We'll see. But either way, if I'm converting a string to an integer, I am going to get a maybe. So eventually, I'm going to want the case of I can't type it, or I can't convert it to an int, to just not update this field, to leave it as nothing. So I'm going to do further operations on the value that was successful. If I have a maybe and I want to do work on the success value, I can call map and pass it a function, and it will receive that remaining input so I can do math on it. So I'm going to say it's entering an amount of minutes, so I'm going to turn that into seconds and then turn that into milliseconds. All right, and if it doesn't work, then that's fine. I leave it as nothing. Also, I typed mode instead of model here. Oopsie daisy. I'm going to check to make sure I'm still compiling. I'm not. I cannot find a text field type. So did I not export the type as text field exposing text field? That's what I wanted. Okay, remaining. I cannot find a remaining variable on line 66. Right. So this is my init. And I know when I start the program, I no longer have a remaining at the start of the program, so I don't actually need any of this anymore. I can just get rid of all of that, I think. What else is wrong? Model.remaining is a maybe on line 203. I'm probably gonna have a few of these places to fix up. Okay. If I have a tick, none of this matters unless unless I actually have a remaining value. So when model.remaining is just remaining, that's when I want to do all of this. Otherwise, do nothing. Also, model.remaining is not what I want to work on. I want just that remaining value. Good thing I called the variable new remaining. I'm not shadowing, or I'm not going to get an error from trying to shadow. New remaining is a millis, but it should be a maybe millis, right? So just, and we're compiling again. Now, if I don't have anything remaining, I'm not going to have any output. So there, I'm going to have two states of my view here. It's going to be, so when I have a remaining value, I don't think the actual value of my remaining matters for my view. Let's say that's going to be view view timer. When it's nothing, it will be view form. Okay, view timer takes a model, returns a UI.element. That's back to normal now. My form. That's going to be that will be, let's say it's going to be a row where the first element on the left is going to be text that says minutes for my timer. And in the minutes, to type in minutes, I want to render my text field, and that's how you do that. Still compiling. Let's see what we're working with here. All right, so here's what I was talking about with that form field. I can use the back arrows. I can type in here. I can use backspace. Okay, what happens if I do type in something that's not? I hit enter, nothing happens. Great. If I do type in something that can be converted, there's my timer. And start the timer. There we go. I am going to let this video run a little long because I want to do one more thing, and I want to add a way to restart my timer. So let's go back up where we're handling the key inputs. Where was that? That was up, 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 up. All right, so if I press R to restart, then I want to wipe out that remaining value. And that should get me back to the state of that form field that asks me. Let's see. We're compiling. Let's run that. I'm going to go for 5 minutes. I will start. But if I hit R to restart, great. Let's go for 50 minutes. Excellent. Restart. Let's go for 1 minute. Oh, that was interesting. I think I saw a flash of something that was definitely not 1 minute. Let's see. 1 minute. No? All right. Cool. We'll stop there. And I think, yes, that will be the end of the cowsay-powered Pomodoro timer on the command line with Gren TUI. I'm sure you can take this even further. No idea what happens when it gets down past 0. We might start seeing negative numbers, or it might just break entirely. Exercise for the reader, I guess. But yeah, see you in the next one.